Hello, my name is Jeremy Bolt. I'm one of the producers of Pandorum.
And I'm Christian Alvord. I'm the director. Welcome to the Directors and Producers Commentary.
Christian made a brilliant thriller called Antibodies, which I was sent by his agent. We've been developing Pandorum for about a year, and we were looking for a director. And we were sent this film, and it was just superb and very intense and also very real. So I mentioned to Christian that we had this project, and remarkably, he had been developing a very similar project.
Yeah, the when I got the script from the Impact guys, it was very surprising to me that the whole opening sequence, as well as some key elements and the twist at the end, were virtually the same. So I really liked their script, but to be honest, I had to make their movie because after having read theirs, I couldn't make mine anymore.
Yes.
So I was kind of married to them, and I just hoped that I could bring some of my ideas. So I went into a pitch meeting hoping, when people spend money and time and effort in developing something, you have to be very open-minded to throw a lot of it out and start anew. So I pitched them my project and said I would like to marry those two and come up with something genuinely new, and to my big surprise they said okay, let's go with it. And the original writer, Travis Malloy, was also happy about it, so
well, it's
I was
always
a happy person.
it's always much better to develop a project with a director. And anyway, this is Christian's Pandorum, and we just moved over those opening words explaining the world.
Well, one of the key changes was the original screenplay that Travis wrote took place in a sci-fi world where space travel was quite common, and took place on a prison ship where things had gone wrong. And I wanted to make this mission something that very much comes from our real space travel programs that we have today, and wanted to make this a very special mission that had gone wrong, that is not something that happens every day. And that's why we had these opening history credits, where we say what status the space travel is in, what the world has gone to, and we projected that into the future based on what scientists and sociologists nowadays believe will happen.
And the Kepler telescope was actually launched at the
In
beginning
2009. Yeah, that was quite funny because the whole mission is about looking for a new planet. And I had, when I developed my project, it was very much about finding this new planet. So I had all these Google alerts and all these news feeds that I always got about where this surge is. And while I was in the post of this, they launched the Kepler telescope which is specifically designed to look for a new Earth-like planet. So that was really very much temporary. This is the scene that is really almost, it was uncanny how much it was the same in my script and Travis's script. We both felt, later we talked about where it came from, we both felt that going into, a coma-like, suspended, dream-like state must be quite horrific. And we didn't like how in previous movies people basically yawned and got up out of bed when they wake up. So we said, this should be really unpleasant and really should have a lot of side effects and cables out of the arm. And I imagine it even more gruesome and more elaborate, but I had to make some.
But Christian, you added in this skin treatment.
The skin treatment, exactly. The idea was that the skin was, we always, our skin always replaces itself in a very short amount of time. So I felt if someone has been asleep, and we later reveal that he has been asleep for a couple of 100 years, all the skin would basically become like a second skin around him and kind of gooey and, really nasty. So, and I think it makes for a great visual. Ironically, now the whole campaign in the States is based on the skin peeling, which was a pretty late idea that I had. I think that was in pre-production.
Right towards the end of prep, when Ben was actually with us.
Yeah.
Just a word about Ben Foster. We were so fortunate to get him to do the film. Fantastic in 3:10 to Yuma. Really one of the strongest new actors. Very, very honest actor. Very intense. And
my absolute first choice. He was part of my pitch to you guys already, where I said it should not be, the typical all-American hero who has, not an edge and is just, almost like a poster boy. I wanted someone who is more an everyday guy but has an intense performance to him and really can convey what's going on. And I'm really happy because he was my first choice. He said yes immediately. Then we lost him because we took some time to get our movie off the ground, and he was off doing other stuff. And in that time, we were looking for someone else, and we had real problems because we couldn't get him out of our head. We met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, and we always said, "Damn, it's too sad that Ben doesn't work out." And then when he came back, I was jumping up and down in my room.
Yeah, it was a big lesson for myself and Robert and Paul, the other producers, to stick with the original plan and how no doesn't always mean no in this business. And you can go back to people. And Christian was relentless in campaigning for Ben, and he was absolutely right. And really, when Ben committed, the film I felt was definitely going to happen.
Yeah. So this is something I was very interested in my script, and also Travis, where we kind of were the similar idea that we have almost like a Robinson Crusoe opening where he's all alone, stranded. He doesn't have anyone to talk to, and he just goes about his business of, solving his problems, even like getting food and dressed and cleaned up. And, in the finished film, we had to speed that up a little bit because we felt, we really want to get back into the story. But I feel like just these few glimpses that stayed in the film are perfect to ground the movie in reality and give you a feeling that, he's not gung-ho grabbing his machine gun and killing aliens.
Well, also,
he's a real person.
Also, Christian, his memory, he's remembering to do certain things.
Yes.
It's slowly coming back. In order to sell that, I think you need to see him doing the more mundane things.
Yes. Well, we had in the deleted scene section, you will see that we had a little bit more of that even.
Yes.
Like food, reading stuff, getting dressed. It was even getting his nails clipped.
Yeah.
We filmed.
Yeah.
But I think we came up at the end with just the right amount of time to get his growing desperation because he's locked in this room.
This is great.
Well, this sequence, I established this because hopefully you've all seen this film before you listen to this, but the idea is that these creatures, obviously they would eat everyone instantly on board if they had access.
Yeah.
So I needed these pods that contain the people to be very strong and almost like vaults that you couldn't open by force. So that's why we put in the scene where he tries to wake up the other sleeping guy, Peyton.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that, Christian.
That's the reason why I wrote it in there. It's just that I felt,
I shouldn't have tried to cut the budget in that department.
I really felt that you need to establish the strength of these pods because the creatures have to wait until the computer wakes someone up before they can hunt him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was crucial. Also, we sent these pods into space and through water, so I felt they really have to be established.
Dennis Quaid, a legend. Very exciting to work with him.
He was great. He was so much fun. Dennis's role was, even before I was on board, was always designed to be a starring role for an older, established veteran Hollywood actor. Now, there was always a twist to him. He always turned out to be the bad guy. There wasn't the disease yet, but he was someone who was manipulative, and we all had the same idea and went in the same direction. We want somebody who was trustworthy, who we would think is the all-American hero, maybe even possibly the star of the picture.
Yeah.
So, and also in a independent film world, financing hinged on getting a big name for this role.
Absolutely right. And again, Ben was very important to Dennis.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, they're both, they're so different in their combination. You have the young, up-and-coming, intense actor who's just hungry to put himself out there and is relentless in his performance. And then you have someone who has 80, 90 movies under his belt and really wants to, get back in the trenches and have fun again and really get engaged. So I think that Dennis can share his experience and Ben could share his hunger, and it really turned out well because they had to dance their dance and be in the same movie.
That's right. And that's kind of reflect a little bit in their ranks, the young soldier and the older veteran.
Yeah. So, like I just said, since he was important to financing, there was probably a pool of 5-6 guys that we needed one of them to get the movie greenlit, and Dennis was always among them. The list you guys gave me, and among this list, Dennis was the first guy we actually went to.
Yeah,
and we were very lucky again.
we always loved in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West the way that Henry Fonda, who is the all-American hero, is actually the villain in the film, and we wanted an all-American hero who then surprises the audience by being the bad guy, and I think Dennis is perfect for that.
Especially since he, just recently, starting with Day After Tomorrow, had a comeback as the hero in those big sci-fi disaster films, and we're so used to him saving the world, basically.
That's right. And G.I. Joe this summer.
Yeah, we knew about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me, having grown up in the 80s, and watching him in all these movies, he was really in a lot of them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a personal hero of mine, and I mean, Ben is a little younger, but roughly the same. So to all of us in that generation, Inner Space
Ben's
was a
lot
huge...
younger. Ben's a lot younger than you.
He's 27.
I'm joking.
He's 27. So to all of us, Inner Space was a huge film. Funny enough, Dennis told me that at the time it was considered to be a flop.
Right.
But now most people that approach him talk about this movie. So here we establish that the ship is not working right. There's no constant power. There's these power surges that ravage through the ship, overload all the systems, and then are gone again. And this is the first hint at what actually Ben's mission is about. That is, getting the ship back in order, restarting the reactor.
Yeah, it's very important when you're making a movie on a spaceship because you're obviously limited with your environment. You're on a ship, you're in a tin can, essentially, to have as many visceral moments as you can to keep the audience engaged. And so having the power surges was a very important part of making the thing more active.
Well, to me, it was also very early on. I wanted to establish the spaceship as almost being an organism.
Yes.
So that's why it has this rib cage exterior.
And these
it has this, which is kind of a vein thing, and all these cables running through. And I used a lot of comic books references for the designers from the 70s, where there's one famous Italian comic series called the Druna series by Serpieri, which is basically softcore porn in space, but the ship design is really great, so we use that for a reference a lot, and you're never quite sure there which part of the spaceship is a creature and what is actually
that's right,
the design.
Yeah.
And the power surges to me were almost like a pulse or like a
heart.
breathing, or a heart. So that was the part where the power surges always were in the script, but it played along with the idea of creating an organism that these guys are crawling through.
That's right. Just a word for our production designer, Richard Bridgeland. I think taking Christian's idea of the ship almost being alive, these pipes, as Christian said, the ribbing, he really, I think, delivered in that department.
Yeah. Well, even the room he just left, had all these rib cages and like
love that.
Bony structure.
The spider in the script stage, Christian turned to me and he said, the studio will want to cut that, and I will fight for it because it's one of those lyrical, quiet beats that is very important in a horror movie.
Well, I thought it was such an odd moment because you never see a spider in a spaceship.
No.
And it just shows you that something is really different with this situation they're in. And in my script, I had a similar. This is Travis's beat, but I had a similar beat with a lion that was standing in the corridor.
That's right.
Which came out of left field. Like all of a sudden there's a lion standing there, which
Yeah.
I loved. And obviously it didn't fit into this project anymore because it was kind of a different kind of Noah's Ark that I created. But the spider was perfectly substitute for that moment.
Absolutely, and that's a CG spider, so that's entirely digital.
Yeah. Well, we could have spent a whole day to get that shot real,
Yes.
or we could just... I think they did a great job on the spider.
Just Ben being excellent here, very intense.
Yeah. So again, I have to give some credit to my producers here because I really approached this whole sequence, which in the rock cut is probably a 10-minute sequence, and I said I want to light it with a flashlight. And with an expensive Hollywood movie, that's a pretty daring approach, and as you can see, sometimes you see very little of the environment, but it creates a specific trap, because we really don't see what's around there. It could be anything there, and I want it to be in that in that character in this moment where he really doesn't know, his world doesn't go beyond what the flashlight shows him. And I was very grateful that I was allowed to do that, because obviously it looks, it looks wrong for a Hollywood film.
But also Ben's performance is so good,
Yeah.
you totally believe his fear.
Yeah.
And as Christian was saying earlier, I find it very frustrating in movies like this where your hero is never really genuinely scared. One of the big influences on us was Alien, and one of the great things about Ripley is that she is genuinely scared. And if she's scared, we're scared.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I, just talking a little bit about how I pick my shots. I mean, in all my movies, my whole approach is to find an angle that puts us in the situation and transports us to discover the scene or the problem or the obstacle or even the monster with the hero. And even if the scene is, you have a scene with a villain in it, the villain becomes the hero for me. I mean, I have this very personal point of view that I'm trying to get across. So obviously, for a sequence like this, we try to be locked.
But that's interesting because, we see the creature, in this case, the emaciated skeleton, at the same time as our hero. So we're discovering this film as he's discovering it.
Yes. And I mean, it's always difficult to get that approach all the way through the campaign at the end.
Sure.
But I mean, the best audience member for me is someone who just got dragged along by his friend, doesn't know anything about the film, and really is with the character and gets every piece of information at the time. So that's what I love making my movies for. And for a while, I was a press journalist writing about films, and at that time I had this perspective, because that was before the internet. And I was shown the films before anyone else had written about them, and I treasure that experience because I still have it. When I'm building my movies, I still have it in my heart to make the movie for someone who's accidentally seen it or without any prior information.
Yes. Comes out of the boot locker.
Yeah, that was something that was really great in Travis's script, that he exchanged tightly confined spaces. Even this crazy neck stand that we just had, and then opens up to a bigger space, and then now he opens the door to even very much bigger space, because with the glimpse of the corridor we know how big the ship is.
Still pretty dark out there, Christian.
Well, that is also we're looking at a pretty bad print of this right now here.
It gets lighter, yeah. It was a constant concern and anxiety for the producers. I'm speaking for them. The darkness. Christian, I think correctly, creatively wanted it to be believably dark, but at the same time we had to be aware, because of financing, of what it would look like on television.
Yeah.
And so I think we've got the balance right.
Well, it's in the nature of your job that you started at the same point and said, don't make this too bright. We want this to be dark.
Yeah.
I mean, that was your original intent as well.
That's right.
And you were actually scared that DP, who's so used to delivering,
Yes.
full-on commercial images, could even dare, to go so darkly lit. And then, obviously, when we shot the film and now it's about selling it, you took the other position, which is, now it has to be just bright enough so that we can sell it.
That's right.
I actually had to sign a waiver, a technical waiver, that this is what it's intended to look like. Because, when people do the technical check, you probably will not know about this, just watching your movies and being a fan, but they have all these displays, technical displays of how big a percentage of the film is black.
Yes.
And if there's a certain percentage that is too black, they have red lights blinking and say this is not technically right. So you have to sign to them
But it's okay.
that it is technically right.
Because we had a lot of red lights blinking.
Yeah.
So just coming up.
Hello?
Great
This-
Creature by Stan Winston Studios.
Oh yeah. Not only the creature, even this body here. This
Yes.
body was missing. You remember that?
Yes.
He was missing. He
Yes.
was stuck in some custom.
He was stuck in
transfer.
customs in London or somewhere.
Yeah.
We
And they freaked out, the Stan Winston guys, because they built this guy in L.A. and then he wouldn't show up to the shooting.
just a word on Stan Winston Studios. Shane and Lindsay were the key prosthetic makeup team here, who trained and worked with Stan very closely. Stan died during the production of the show, and may his soul rest in peace, he really was an inspiration to us and had worked with Robert Kulzer, my producing colleague, on a couple of movies, and his team were very important to us. And Shane and Lindsay really stepped into his shoes brilliantly.
Well, to me as a director, it was great fun to work with them. They're legends in their field. And there was one instance where Shane Mann stood next to me in one of these corridor shoots with the creatures and just very casually said to me, you know, the smell of the scene and the set reminded him of Aliens. And I had a shiver going down my spine, because when everybody else says, well, this reminds me of Aliens, they're talking about seeing the film. He was talking about making the film. And I felt a little bit humbled by
That's right.
having these legends on my set, and, you know, taking all their time and creative energy and effort into my small movie when they previously had done all these huge
And
films.
Aliens, Predator.
Chain started on the Terminator for Stan Winston, and
Yes.
he just had come off Iron Man.
He'd done the bodysuit
Yeah.
for Iron Man.
I mean, everybody who works with them loves them. They're amazing guys. And they know how to work on a budget. You know, they don't have to, you know, when you spend $200 million, they know how to spend it. And
Absolutely.
if you have a smaller independent film like this one, they know how to spend it as well. I mean, this is the first real look at that creature. Oh, by the way, talking about the creature, absolutely essential is not only what Stan Winston and the costume designer and all these people did with them, but also the performers. And this guy here, Dave, was an outstanding young kid, probably 19 years old, who we never used any CG on him, so he does some amazing things with his mouth and his eyes throughout the film. And it looks like it's CG, but he really was able to do that.
Yes, I mean, all the makeup and special effects in the world will not work without a good performance.
Yeah.
And Dave was awesome. Nice
He could
bit
do
of-
things with his body that were unbelievable.
Yeah.
If I sometimes, you know, for that reason, I sometimes wish I could have cut him in longer so that you could actually enjoy that. But then again, it takes away from the creature if you can, you know, watch it too long.
Yes.
So I couldn't do that. But I have some.
So here's a classic horror genre moment. Has the creature left the room or not? Well,
Yeah.
of course he hasn't. Duh.
That's
I think I shot that spear coming in second unit.
yeah. And I shot the spear hitting him, and there was so much blood that I had to darken the shot down. Otherwise, everybody would assume, rightfully, that Ben had to die from this stab.
That's right.
So, I mean, that was a difficult last few shots. But there, he made it.
Do you read?
And again, like you said, you know, he's still freaked out. He cannot even answer right away because he feels they might still be there.
Listen, I need you to calm down. You're all we've got out there if we're going to figure this out. And let's get back to these other guys.
We shot obviously Dennis in his set pieces first. So all Ben had to act here with was a tape of Dennis's performance, and he had to fill in the blanks. And also new experience for him, I guess, to completely have a relationship over 60% of the movie with a pre-recorded performance.
Yeah.
And he did great. So this is a big revelation to our characters, not so much to the audience who know a little bit more because of the opening of the film and the campaign, but here they remember what their mission was about.
We're not out on the belt collecting data.
Well, Dennis'
We're not hauling
character
cargo.
remembers, and he...
And it triggers memories
Yeah.
in Ben.
We are the cargo.
60,000 people on a single launch trajectory.
So this is one of the sequences that I put into the film to get across what the whole mission is about.
It also just gives real character depth to your hero, this kind of backstory. It means
Yeah.
you just care a bit more about his journey.
all these little pieces came in very late, like
Yes,
in the
this-
last draft before we
Yeah, I credit you with nearly all of those. The flashbacks, the love backstory.
But I really love Travis, the writer, and he's got great humor. Most of the funny things come from him. And I was writing these things, and I sent him the script, and I was like, I hope he's not offended, because I was stepping on his toes. And he was such a great collaborator that I can now imagine to go do a lot of more things with him.
Yeah,
What
he's a really terrific collaborative writer with no ego. He's a pleasure to work with, and as I said, for a very talented man, it's tremendous that he has control over his ego, which is unusual in Hollywood, I can tell you.
So here again, to ground it, basically we just spun a little bit further what the Mars lander rovers look like and said, okay, this is not too far into the future, and let's make it just look real. And they find alien life on a planet, which is a monumental day.
Yeah.
And I think it will actually be a much bigger moment even in reality when that ever happens. But in the tone of our film, we played it down a little bit because we didn't want to change the tone too much. And obviously, he also remembers his wife.
See, this is interesting. This scene probably took an hour to shoot, but it's hugely important in the story. Just that memory, you watch it, you feel Ben's love for this woman. You don't really know what the story is, but you relate to him because he's a human being and he's loved another human being. You immediately care more for him.
Yes, and we needed a girl that could capture an audience within 2 or 3 shots. And I remembered a girl that I've seen once at a party from, 20 yards away, and she captured me as an audience. So
Are you sure that was only as an audience?
yeah. So we seeked her out again, and I think it works brilliantly because she's really doing a great job here. It's actually, sometimes it's really a lot harder to convey something silent within 3-4 shots than having a fleshed out character to work with.
Try to think where would they be? A sleeping compartment for now.
So the mission changes for Ben now. It's not only about, procedure and getting the reactor started. He wants to save the love of his life. And Peyton/Dennis is the one who keeps it together and reminds him that, do it in the right order. First get the ship up and running again, and then we can find her and save her. And we have nice little details like Dennis saying, your wife, and then remembering that he's supposed to have a wife.
Yeah.
And says our wife, but he's not quite sure because
No.
he, at this point, in case you wondered, he doesn't really know that he's not Peyton. He really, genuinely, because his memory is erased and it's not fully back yet, thinks that he is this Peyton, this lieutenant that has this wife. You've probably seen the picture in the locker that's supposed to be his wife. So it takes almost the entire course of the movie for him to remember who he actually is and that he is
Evil.
not only evil, but the guy who started it all.
Yes. That's right. There's a sort of schizophrenia to him.
Yeah, which we'll talk a little bit more when Gallo shows
So
up
this
about.
this gun.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we found in Travis had written an antique gun into the script that some officer had in his room, but then it was a prison ship, and now it didn't make any sense that he would find an antique gun. So
I'm not sure it made much sense on a prison ship. But anyway,
so we came up with a new form of gun, and I saw an article in a German Spiegel magazine, which is like the Times here, and there was a designer who was thinking for industrial companies into the future. He was designing industrial machines. He was never working on films or anything other than real things that really got built. So I thought that is an interesting guy for us to meet because he's working on the real thing. So let's pitch some of our problems to him and come up with something that is real. And he came up with this gun that would not be in the way because I know it's a mundane problem, but he has at times a form of crowbar in his hand. He has a flashlight. He has a gun. Sometimes he needed to almost become a juggler to have all these props. So he came up with this gun that would never be in the way, that you could just pull on your arm and then.
and it's an anti-riot gun. It's not a gun that is meant to kill people, simply to stun them momentarily.
Just basically push them away. Think there's a riot and people run towards you. You basically give off this energy pulse, and they would just be thrown back. And
I love this shot.
Yeah, that was one of our early designs for the Elysium that we then reused for the Eden.
That's right.
Anyway, what I needed and what I really had a huge problem with is all these props working in a ship that's supposed to be dead for a long time. So again, I did my research on what people are developing for as an alternative to batteries, because all our batteries that we have would be dead. So we came up with this funny, somewhat to our audience nowadays, funny looking way of charging up small devices, but it's actually very likely that some of these things would work. So we have the first one when he runs the console and gives some energy to it.
Yeah.
We have the second one when he shakes the shaver and lights it up.
Essentially, manual power creates a
Yes.
generated power.
Well, the pressure of him pumping will be magnified by future technology.
That's right.
And, make this gun work. Now you can see with the gun how you can hold a flashlight and do everything with it, climbing,
Yeah.
you know.
And then the mysterious cloaked figure.
Yeah. That is something I credit Travis all the way. This character, I didn't change a single thing that I can remember. It was always a great idea of his that he encounters this, completely foreign to a sci-fi movie concept, agriculture guy who, knows some martial arts, but not, he's not. Actually, Kung Lee knows way more about martial arts than his character does,
That's
and we
right.
played that down. But I thought that was almost like a classic haunted house, or cabin in the woods kind of figure
Yeah.
that would follow him around. And there we have right again another character.
Yeah. I think it's important in a horror movie that you have unexpected beats and unexpected characters, so you're constantly surprising the audience. And here we have Norman Reedus, who Christian had worked with before.
Well, he's a close friend of mine, and he usually, just because he wants to be on my set and hang out and have fun, and he likes my movies, he always casts himself into the movies. In this case, he basically wrote me an email and says, I want to be Shepard. And I didn't even know that he had the script. So he had asked his agent to give him the script when we were out casting bigger roles. And before we ever got to casting this guy, he told me that he wanted to be Shepard. And I love Norman. I think he grounds his performances really great. He has great energy. I thought he would play perfect with Ben because they're kind of similar in their approach to acting. And so I pitched him. Guys loved him. He's in the movie, and I think it's an amazing sequence. Those two guys in their scene, they're in a movie where you can feel that all the stuff that's going on is real to them.
I love this. This is my favorite sequence in the film. I love the music, the acting. Very quickly, you really are engaging with Norman. And again, he's very scared. So it just adds to how scared you are. Ben's scared. Norman is even more scared.
Some actors feel over the course of 12 weeks being scared, they feel like they're playing sissy boy characters and they're scared to be scared on film all the time. But not with our guys here. They're really buying into that this would scare the bejesus out of you if that would actually happen, and they try to convey that.
And it's great that he's covering himself in oil.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the survival techniques to blend in better and also to cover up the smell.
It's like Predator, Arnold in Predator. With the mud.
Yeah.
This is great.
Well, in Predator, it actually becomes invisible with the mud. He is just helping a little bit.
Right. It's great the way, Christian, you use the blue lights with the creatures.
Yeah.
Just so we get a sense of them before they come.
Yeah, I had great fun with DP coming up with color schemes for this film. Because of the artificial lighting, you could make entire sequences green, like in the opening, yellow, blue, we have red. And we really used it to underline some of the themes. Blue, of course, since the creature have these gas lights that they found and very crudely made into weapons, obviously becomes an evil color in our film. And it's quite interesting when Gallo enters Peyton's, Dennis's subconscious, all the sequences turn blue.
Yes.
That was done on purpose. Obviously, it has a mundane explanation on a surface level with the artificial light that he cracks, that it's just blue. But yeah, blue is evil in this film.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that, Christian. Very creative.
Thank you. Yeah, here's Heflin.
Your friend Andre Henneke.
Yeah, he's the lead hunter. He's like, and we much more than you will realize in the final film. Travis and I had a lot of thoughts about the society that the hunters live in, and obviously, the strongest would be the leader of the pack, and they would, you know, for leadership, you would actually have to challenge the old leader very much like in a real, you know, with dogs or lions, like in an animal world. So the lead hunter here has survived so many battles by being challenged that in one of the recent battles, his nose got just ripped out, and we thought that really underlined his character, and that is actually the only vis effect part of the creatures. Everything else is done practical.
Again, Andre Henneke is a great actor and was actually in Christian's film Antibodies. So the performance is what is at least 50% of what makes the creature work.
Yes, that is the one, not body artist that we used, but actually face artist by being an actor. And, you know, just a little bit of trivia, he's also the captain that receives the message in the opening of the film. So that is the only shot in the movie where you can see what he actually looks like.
Now, lady.
This is one of my favorite scenes in the film, where scared Bauer finally finds another person, and they can't communicate.
But just Kung Lee had never really acted before. He's a mixed martial arts world champion in the Strike Force League, and very, very famous in that world. Famously broke Frank Shamrock's arm.
Which you can Google, the world champion.
Which you can Google. It's an awesome fight. Ben is such a good actor. He's so generous. He really helped Kung, and I think this is a great performance from Kung. And you really feel this is an athlete who could really become a good and serious actor.
Well, to be perfectly fair, I wasn't in LA to cast those guys, so I cast them over tapes. But Kung won this role fair and square, not for who he was and what he could do fighting, but honestly because he delivered the best performance.
He did audition
in his audition, and he beat some much better known actors, you know, Asian guys that we've seen in bigger movies. And again, I credit a lot of people involved with this production that I was allowed to go with risky choices. Even Ben, for, you know, this is his big popcorn movie role, the first one where he takes the lead. Antje, I'm sure we talk about again, is a completely unknown German actress. And Kung Lee had never played in a big role before. He has a very small role in fighting.
Yes.
But this role is more about fighting, about his fighting skills. I haven't seen the film, but that's what he told me. So, you know, aside from Dennis, we really went with fresh people here. And to me, that was part of making it real, because if you encounter throughout a film famous faces, you know, the level of reality kind of shifts towards a movie, and I want it to be genuinely scary, so you never know what these characters stand for.
If they're not that famous, then there's the chance they could die.
Yes.
Which makes the scenes they're in that much more exciting.
Exactly.
What is going on, Christian? These weird noises.
Yeah, he's basically suppressing his memories here. I mean, I know it looks like a threat from the outside, but what he's actually scared of are his memories that are coming back, and he can no longer suppress them. This is the ship's outer hull, which no one will ever know if I wouldn't tell him. But he's really close to the outer hull of the ship, and now he's entering
settlers' housing.
I love this little set, because I tried to design the whole mission, you know, what they would live in the first couple of years, because you drop down on this planet, and before you can build houses and all this stuff, you need a place to live in. So all these boxes here are living units for the settlers that would just be dropped onto the planet, and that could be pulled out to 3 times the length they are now, and you could live in it for a while. Again, it's based on real living containers, what we did here. So there's Antje again.
Let's talk about Antje.
Yeah, Antje is we talked about risky choices and unknown actors. Antje is a completely unknown actress. She'd done like 2 or 3 movies before where she was basically cut out of or an extra. And we cast, I don't know, probably 100 girls for this.
More. I mean, we probably saw about that many.
Yes.
But we had a casting director in Germany. We had casting in England and America.
And again, there's always the seduction of casting a known actress, and we had a couple of who were interested in the part. And after seeing the top-notch German actresses and some, from Spain and France on that
America.
day,
Mm-hmm.
no, on that day in the room,
Yeah.
I usually go to the callback to the second casting after I've seen the first one on tape.
Yes.
And then there was my first AD who's actually had a friend who turned out to be Antje, and he's told her she should come to the casting.
That's
and
right.
I was tired, and I was like, I don't want to see someone I've never heard of. And I finally said, okay, let's just quickly be done with this. And then she walked into the room. She was completely, underdressed and just looked like she was trying to work out. And then I always, just to loosen up and see how the body of the actress works, I had this kicking back set up so that they could loosen up and, throw a few punches and the boxing bag, remember? Yeah. And when she started hitting that back, I was instantly fascinated because she was clearly very much at home in her body and really fierce.
Yes, I should just say, we screen tested 4 actresses, and Christian really screen tested them. So they had performance, and then, as he said, he had a physical
That was in
section.
the final round. Yeah, that
Yes.
was later. But again, she gave a performance there that blew me away, and that put her on the list with these other actresses who were
More
known.
experienced, yeah.
And she really won the gig. And since, when you cast someone that unknown, you basically have to even get your buyers and distributors all over the world on board, because
Yes.
there's one less name they can advertise with.
Yes.
And they all loved her. They all said, we give up the possibility of a star in this role for this person because we really believe in her. And I'm very happy because I think she delivered. The part was always German written.
Yes.
So I like that about it, that we have a genuine German actress for a part that's supposed to be German.
Yes.
And again, the energy that comes from her is unique, is different from Ben's, and makes the group of actors more interesting. I mean, I love, now that there's the 3 of them, for me, the movie grows in,
Well,
in
it
attractiveness.
It makes it more believable.
Yes. I believe that Antje could kick Ben's ass. That was important to me too.
Yeah.
That we don't have like a supermodel petite girl there that, just because we want her to, kick the boy's ass around.
And then we have raining indoors, which is very important in these kinds of movies.
Well,
Going
it
back-
is, first of all, it's a way of creating a different environment because this is obviously a redressing of a set I've previously used.
Yes.
So the rain makes it a little bit more unique. But also, in our movie, it's a hint because our ship
He's underwater.
is underwater throughout the story and it has some leaks. So this is a small hint that,
Plus a little homage to Solaris, the original.
I was going to say, is it raining? But creatures show up again. At the same time, we have the power surge, and that was what she was waiting for because she got accustomed to the rhythm of the power surges and therefore had these nerves of steel to wait. And also shows you how the gun works. It basically pulls them back and buys them some time before they get through the door.
Yeah. Very nice white Stanley Kubrick kind of set there, Christian.
Well, this is again, we have the settlers' housing, but we also need all the animals and plants and all that stuff that creates a living environment for us to survive in. And in my original script, there were actually, frozen animals and plants. But together with Travis, I developed it into this biovault, which would just have the DNA that they would reuse to build these things later when they're on the planet. And Nadia's being a scientist, she could lead them into this part of the ship. and get a little bit more across what the mission is about and how important the mission is.
I think also the change in geography, Christian, at some level this is like a road movie. They're traveling down the road of the ship.
It absolutely is. We wanted to have changes in environment and feeling. That's why this is also bright, and also it's not dirty.
That's right.
See how clean this is? I mean, most of the areas of the ship have been accessed by creatures, or they have been not really been polished because humans were not supposed to go there during the mission. This is a spot that has to be really clean because, you know, this is probably the heart of the mission, that these things survive. Again, we thought about what would she eat? She obviously would use some of the DNA to create food.
Yeah.
So if she creates these insects, which you could actually survive on. By the way, Ben came up with the idea of eating one of those for the movie because, you know, I thought it was just a hint that I would drop there and just would have some
That's right.
insects.
Yeah.
And I was gonna have Kung's character give a tasty look to it and then move on. But Ben really wanted to push himself, and he said, you know, I will eat one of those things. And we wrote it into the script.
But it's interesting, Kung actually looks at it with disgust.
Yeah, I changed that.
So, you know, the strong martial arts guy looks
Yeah.
at it with disgust, and
That's
the
a
more
funny
vulnerable-
joke that
yeah.
we came up with because, you know, now that Kung's action in the scene was taken away and it was all changed, I needed something else for him. And I said, you know what? Would be funny if the guy in whose culture it was most likely to eat these things is the disgusted one.
Yes.
And the joke works. We always get a laugh with his look there.
Yes.
So now comes the birth of his subconscious into a representation of it. And
It's great the way Dennis became a little bit more and more unhinged, Christian, the way you paced him out like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
well, I'm so happy with how Dennis quickly dived into the role and gave it all. And in the rehearsals with Cam and him, we talked a lot about what character knows what at what time, because it's constantly shifting. And it was really important to them to know how much does he remember. And we put in all these little hints. For example, he says his name is Gallo, well, soon, like in 30 seconds time. And then Dennis answers, Corporal Gallo? How does he know that? It's because it rings a bell. And there's like all these little things throughout the movie between the two of them. It
So-
obviously grows until we know they are actually the same.
So Cam Gigonde, brilliant young American actor. We were very fortunate that Twilight came out during our shoot, and so catapulted him into stardom, which for a producer and anyone associated with a film, when that happens to one of your actors, can only help in the marketing of the film. And he delivers this amazing performance. I mean, he's an extraordinarily good-looking guy and a good actor, and that just works. Well, it worked for you creatively.
Yes. Well, he's supposed to look like, Peyton when he was young. So, we tried to find someone similar in height and complexion and, somewhat. Obviously, he has, a really supermodel nose
Well,
that
he's
Dennis
kind of
doesn't have.
Kind of
So
like the idea.
we have to
is-
explain that away in the sequel.
Well, it's kind of like, if you were going to imagine yourself as a 25-year-old, you might imagine yourself as Cam. It's
Exactly.
like
That
imagining
was-
yourself as James Dean or Brad Pitt.
Absolutely. That was our excuse on set.
It's brilliant, Christian.
We always
Brilliant.
said that. Okay, again, we're trying to go from confined spaces to huge open areas. And here I wanted to where I was coming from, again with your road movie allegory, this was to me like an open desert where you would have all these dunes and you would never know what's behind the next dune, and it's clearly enemy territory. So I created this design because it was really helpful for our budget, because we only needed to build a section of it and then could reuse it. But it was also something that went along with that original idea that, we have an open space, but it's not too open. Things have to be able to hide in the darkness.
That's right.
So here's a small thing. It's not important to the story, but I really cared about Kung's character a lot, and I thought we should know that he is a guy who knows how to survive, and he actually has killed some of these animals before, and he's eating them.
Well, he is a cannibal.
Yes, so we're never actually talking about that. She's saying he's hunting, but that's the only hint.
Yes.
But he is eating the hunters. He's really dangerous. That's why he still has some meat on his bones. Now that we mentioned it, for me, the whole underlying theme of the movie is about what humanity will do for its survival. There's the big theme of humanity as a whole and how it will survive, venturing out to other planets as we're basically destroying this one. But also every character represents a different outlook, and Ben, for me, is the one who basically takes the position that survival without your moral and what makes us humans and makes us human is the same as death. That's why he later will have his crisis. And some of the other characters think that survival itself is a value and is more important. And basically all the characters, apart from Dennis's character, fall within that subject matter. They fall into different positions. And Ben basically is the most moral one, and another character called Leland is probably the least moral one about it. And if you rate the hunters as characters, they're one perspective of what humanity is without morality.
Without law and order.
Exactly.
Well,
it's survival of the fittest.
But the hunters will have evolved their own law and order, I imagine.
Yeah.
Based on the strongest in the tribe.
Yes, but their survival is the highest value, and everything else is second to that.
Food.
And that is something that Ben will not subscribe to with his character.
So Ben would rather kill himself than eat another human being.
Exactly. He's the idealist in this film. Right. And his speech that we just basically had, where he said we can work as a team, which very easily and quickly sounds naive, but that's what he subscribes to, and that's what I think ultimately, because I like to be a romantic, leads to their survival, that he unites them and says we are a team. And as we will see in the following scene, as a team they're able to survive. That's right. This creature's attack, which is basically the payoff to his earlier speech that she sneered upon. And he says we could work as a team, she has this little sneer and
she's
says,
cynical.
And she is cynical because we know that she had others with her and they all died. Here we see how fierce she is. I mean, to pull that off, to actually think that this woman is out to kill, she does that great. So, obviously, you have great experience with women who are out to kill.
Yes.
And kick ass.
Absolutely.
But you know how hard that is to find. It's not...
it's very hard.
Very often it's posture and
exactly.
not real.
I mean, Sigourney is kind of the ideal. Yeah. Obviously, we've been very fortunate with Mila Jovovich in Resident Evil. She can definitely kick ass. And Antje Hazard as well.
Yeah. So this is another one of those brilliant hunter performers. Not only does he have to do all these stunts, he has to do them in the mask, which, you don't see that much in. And he still has to do them in a way that looks inhuman and goes along with their own way of moving. And we basically, for weeks and weeks on end, during the shoot, we rehearsed this fight on the weekends.
And the poor stuntman, correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, but didn't he injure his leg?
He did, in another scene.
And he still...
And it was very doubtful that he could do this sequence, but that's his big scene, so he was very sad about it, and he pushed himself, and he said, I want to do it. And I think there's only one little moment where we exchanged him with someone else.
So he's in a lot of pain when he was doing that from his leg.
And obviously he was such a great performer that now that I killed his character, I gave him another mask and makeup and reused them because he was too good to be missed.
Yes.
I love that little moment, for example, when it's just a short moment, but Ben is running towards the creatures to get his gun. This is where you know that he will grow into becoming a hero, because he's not only running, he's thinking.
Well, particularly in the beat coming up.
Yeah. Here's another power surge that all of a sudden gives us light, but also with the power surge, there's a new guy waking up.
Which is, Ben's humanity. He thinks about going back to save this guy, who actually is his brother, John Foster, in real life.
Yes.
Who happened to be travelling around Europe, who's a very, very good actor, professional actor, and loves these kinds of movies, and so just...
He wanted to die in a movie like this.
He wanted to die in a gruesome way, but I'm not sure he banked on
Have you seen
this
Big Mouth? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
When we call him Shape, opens his mouth very wide, that's all real. He really can do that. He was freaking people out on the set, even without makeup, when he did those things.
You out there?
See here, we go from yellow, which represents his innocent side, and now he walks into the blue zone.
This is a strange scene. He's almost like a fallen angel, Cam, lying there with the silver blanket.
Yeah.
Like Team 4.
Yep. Classic.
Yeah.
For what?
A great performance by Cam here. Cam was so sincere. He felt that in his career this was a step up in what was demanded of him to as a performer, and he was so focused. He would not come to any of the dinners that you guys were throwing for the cast. He would not do anything beside learning for his role and be completely focused, because he felt that he really needed to deliver. And I think
he was very respectful of Dennis and Ben.
yes, they were like heroes to him, and he really held his own.
Some of it is.
Yeah, it's like a baby boy with that blanket, right?
Yeah.
But that's because the analogy that I was trying to convey with that he was born in the first scene, almost coming out of a vagina-like set piece.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's still gooey and has one blanket, which is shortly after birth. But he's slowly growing into something bigger. So here we're in the state where Dennis is still completely convinced that he's Peyton, and he doesn't trust this other guy at all.
Well, would you trust him? I mean, he's just come out of the innards of the ship.
Yeah.
So I have to credit Christian with this scene, which he shot in like half an hour at the end of the day, and I was going to cut it for budgetary reasons.
Well, we didn't have a set for this. The set
So
we
there was.
couldn't
So
afford.
in fact, I did cut it because
Yes.
there was no set.
So Jeremy said we have to cut the set. We can't afford it for such a short scene to have a set. And I said, I'll do something without a set. And this is what I did. I just
Smoke and
smoked it and pretended there's water on the ground to have a different feel. And but I felt it would feel very disconnected if they suddenly would be in this tank without finding the tank first. And I think it was really well worth it. Well, it didn't cost any money. Okay. Now comes the guy I was talking about, who falls clearly at the end of the line, just before the hunters, in the terms of what he would give up for survival. And this guy has survived for so long. In my backstory that I talked to him about, it was basically more than 30 years that he's awake. But he lost every sense of time, every sense of humanity. He talks to himself with imagined characters, and he eats whatever comes through the door. He would eat a hunter and basically gas him, but he doesn't shy away from his fellow human beings.
he has very good teeth, Christian.
I know, that was not all the time. That's a continuity error.
Okay.
Sometimes we had the time to get the teeth ready, and then there's a few shots
So
where we
Eddie,
had to run with it.
Eddie Rouse, the actor, we discovered through David Gordon Green, the director's film.
You discovered
I discovered him. George Washington. Actually, my assistant,
Huh?
Victor, turned me onto him in this in George Washington, or turned me onto that film, and then he was in it, and we were having real trouble finding this actor.
Again, similar to the other roles, we had big names for this in the mix.
Yes.
People reading the part that were really experienced, sometimes Oscar-winning actors.
Yes.
And again, I felt, in the middle of a film, you encounter a big-name actor. It takes you out of the movie,
Yes.
because it's so late in the game.
Yes.
And typically, audiences don't react well to a character that's established beyond the halfway point anyway. They're about to move on from character introduction into the resolution of the movie. So this guy always had to be perfect to win the audience's patience to even listen to what he has to say.
That's right. So I watched George Washington and saw this brilliant performance from this guy and just showed it to Christian. I wanted him to see the film anyway because it's a
And
great...
I was desperate at the time.
we were getting desperate, and you came into the office and said, "This is what I've been looking for." And then you spoke to Eddie in America, and
Well, it was really funny because, again, we had the same problem that, some of the distributors really wanted to push paying a big name actor to have more to market the film with.
yes,
And the one that we liked, you and I, was the least known of them all.
yes,
And when I talked to him, I really wanted him to give an amazing casting performance so that it would buy us the goodwill of all the other people who were
Yes.
doubtful. So he called me and asked me, how he should go with this and what I was looking for. And I said, listen, I'm really looking for the truth in this character. I know he's got a lot of lines that are jokey or funny or, just over the top lines because he's such a out there character. But don't play into that. That's there anyway. I want the truth. And his response was, well, I need another 24 hours then because I have to live as this person for 24 hours. And I was blown away by that response that he asked me to get an additional 24 hours prep time. I said, okay. And he then did the whole sequence as a casting, basically. I mean, he did like 10 pages of the script.
yeah.
And we all loved it.
And
It was amazing.
credit to Constantine and Overture for letting us hire him.
Yeah.
We're on the same team here.
And he's so happy to see this film.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He actually lived in the set.
Yeah,
He
he's
stayed
crazy.
overnight in that set. He is crazy.
He wanted to feel like this really is his home, so he got the permission from us to live in the set.
Yeah.
But some security people didn't know about it, and he ran into trouble at night.
Well, plus I told him it was haunted.
There's no shutting off the heat. No matter what you do, it'll boil over. You don't believe me?
I didn't say that.
How could they both have had it?
Well, his memory gets more and more intrusive.
Pandorum is greatly affected
He
by
wants to.
any
He doesn't want to hear about it, but he has to.
trigger effect.
That's what they say.
How do you think you would react if you knew the truth?
So very late for a film like this. We're going into the whole delivery of the backstory here and what happened to the mission, but we don't want it to be too blatantly obvious and boring. So it is not very clear how we deliver the backstory. It is more a feeling of what had happened.
Well, Christian, from the word go, wanted the audience to try to work the film out. There is a puzzle. So we give hints, but we hope to engage the audience so it's more of an active experience than just sitting there and letting it wash over you.
Well, and he doesn't know. I really liked how Leland, the guy who is telling us the backstory, hasn't lived it. He just found these drawings, and having lived with them, he has created the full story in his mind, and now he's reliving it and telling it. Plus, he's crazy. So, we get all the information, but it's kind of skewed in its perspective, and I like that, especially since I find this story of Gallo and how the whole mission derailed so fascinating that in my dream, I want to make a movie about it. And if I give too much away, you cannot ever make a movie about it.
So this is the end of Earth.
Yes.
He's gone.
Love that piece of music in the background, Christian, that Mikkel did. Kind of a haunting lament.
Yeah, Michel, obviously the composer who did all my movies. He's incredibly versatile and adjusts to what you need for a specific film. I think there's almost no style that he cannot work with. And his way is to be almost always in the background and not be overly intrusive, but really giving great effect to the movie. So a lot of people don't even pick up on the music when they watch the films that he scores. But he really helps me a lot.
Yeah, he's a great composer.
Yeah.
Nice little back of the head shot, Christian. Back of the heads.
I love back of the heads.
Like you and Michael Mann.
Yeah, I have done many more, but people always stop me. Too many back of the heads.
Nasty little games he would play with his slumbering prey. He was slayer, he was master, he was both. God and the devil. See, that's what some would say. He would grow to...
So, I mean, now that people have seen the film and have figured out the puzzle, I mean, we can quickly sum it up. Basically, young Gallo, who is on watch with the other two officers, has already shown signs of Pandorum. Like, he has noticed that he's going a little bit crazy. And the way this disease works is that it is a physical side effect first of long distance travel. And the fact of the matter is that we honestly don't know what will happen if we send people through space for a long period of time. Well, how that will affect their body and mind is a complete unknown factor that they try to simulate nowadays, but they still obviously cannot fully simulate it. So we came up with this disease that we thought was believable in the sense of what we know today, what could happen. Anyway, so Cam has these first symptoms and tries to hide it because, you know, he wants to deliver his job. He's part of this big mission, so he hopes that no one will pick up of it. But in an emotional stress situation, Pandorum can really kick in, like it can accelerate your downward spiral. So
The loss of Earth.
having to learn that Earth just basically is gone and everything of humanity that still exists is in the hands of these three people and their sleeping cargo. He basically goes overboard and gets really paranoid, which is one of the main
And he develops a kind of god complex, doesn't
yeah, that is later down the spiral, but the paranoia is the first thing that really happens. So he thinks that the other two guys are dangerous to him, and he kills them. And now he's the only guy awake on what's left of humanity, and everybody else is asleep, and that triggers his god complex because he essentially is a god in this moment.
It's a little bit like Heart of Darkness.
Yes, he can forge a new world with what he has at his hand.
Yes.
There's nobody there to judge him. Nobody will ever know about the murder if he doesn't tell about it. You know,
That's
he's
right.
like, he's all powerful.
Big temptation. Some really nasty sort of implements there, Christian. This is
Yeah.
quite a very dark scene.
Well, this whole scene is a complete Christian Albert scene in the sense that I just felt this character needed a real dark side.
And you are a sick puppy.
And I am a sick puppy. And no, but I like I said earlier, for me, this theme was, to what lengths do we go for survival?
Yeah, but
So I wanted this scene, and I wrote it, I don't know, I think within a day, where I thought this guy should really like hang him upside down, trying to eat them. He should stab Nadia. He should really go all out, so that we really know if Ben is not talking himself out of the situation, they're dead.
Shut down before we lose everything and everyone on board. If we don't reset it now,
I mean, this is basically one shot of him and one of Ben for the last 2 minutes of the scene. That is a running non-stop. I didn't even use a different take for anything. This is their performance
This is
as it is.
great performance from Ben.
Yes. Hanging upside down, nonetheless. I mean, he was.
He did it. He actually, yeah. The audience should understand this. He was genuinely upside down.
no one's gonna judge you. No one's gonna judge you.
Which is, you shouldn't do too long. The stunt people warned us that it's actually more unhealthy than we knew before.
Have to reset the reactor.
But
And
he's reaching out to what's left of Leyland's humanity.
Yes. Well, he's also tapping into a sense of survival. He
That's
knows
right.
the only thing that keeps this guy going is his own survival.
That's
so
right.
I have to convince him that that's
will
what's at stake.
He will survive,
Yeah,
and
if
what
he
he's
lets
done,
us live.
and what he's done will be forgiven.
Yes. So this whole scene came from, obviously it's not integral to the story of starting up the reactor, but this whole moment of him, hanging them up, and the whole conversation comes from what interested me in the story, which is, to what length will humans do everything to survive?
Do you copy? Do you copy? Can you hear me?
Peyton, do you copy? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Obviously, he still has the gun.
Where are you?
because Kung would just rip him apart after what just happened. And he's a tiny little guy. See how pissed Kung is? He constantly says, "Give me one chance and I will so smack your head."
And then eat you.
Accessing memory banks now. Running Coulter complex.
Kulzer complex, named after one of our producing colleagues, Robert Kulzer.
Yeah, but by me, he didn't have any part of it. I was just having a laugh.
It's a great
there.
word, though, Kulzer.
Yeah.
It's very believable.
It's not much time.
How do we get you in there?
I need you to give us a path.
Again, another small hint. Dennis doesn't mention the other person in the room at all to Ben. There's, in some Q&As with audiences who have seen the film, this is the first hint that some people actually do pick up and say there's something wrong there. This is not normal.
So, Christian really is a sick puppy, because this baby alien is his daughter, Luna.
Yeah, she had great fun doing this. She came to a casting and I didn't know about it, and then she won the casting. I gave this casting decision away to my first AD, and he said, "I'm sorry to say, but I like your daughter best for this." And I didn't even know she was there. And then I looked at the footage and I had to agree with him. And it's always, when you put your own daughter in a movie, or like in Antibodies I used my own dog, you're always a little bit scared because you feel responsible, and if it doesn't work with them, you feel more responsible than with another foreign kid, like with somebody who's not from you. You feel like you messed up. So it is actually harder for my daughter to have gotten the part than for any other
So here's
kid.
one of those shots where we give it away that Cam's not real.
Yes,
He wasn't behind him in the wide shot, but he's there in the closer shot.
yes. But again, it's cut in a way where he could have stepped up. It's trying to be subtle about it, but obviously it is a hint.
And you think he's ready to
Also, it's very weird how he looms over the other character, and he's not feeling, like he's in his personal space.
Yes.
So this was the breakdown I talked about earlier, where Ben realizes that all the families are gone. This is the family sleep chamber where the people that are, the families of the personnel are brought along, and they're all been crushed and dead. And all that's still around is basically sick human beings that are survivalists by giving up any morale. So he's broken here.
She left me.
Not because she left him, but because if she left him, she would have stayed behind and obviously be gone with everybody else.
And there's the Brandenburg Gate.
Yes. This is Berlin in the future. All of us, all the producers and me, we liked not always having the States, be at the center of all these stories. And we actually did shoot in Berlin, so
Yeah.
we also placed it in Berlin.
We shot at the historical Babelsberg Studios.
Yes,
Historical because so many great movies have been made there.
yeah. Metropolis being
Perhaps the greatest.
perhaps the greatest, yeah. And yeah, we had our neighbor was Tarantino, who shot Inglourious Bastards.
That's
there.
right. Yes.
So now, for the first time, Nadia shows that she still cares and is human by convincing him that there is a reason to go on, because their survival is not only their own survival, but the survival of mankind. But that doesn't reach him. What actually reaches him is
The
that
awareness that Peyton is...
that Peyton lied to him, because he just saw
Bauer's right about one thing.
Marianne Peyton's, his wife's pod, and that triggered the memory of the actual couple.
The real
And-
Peyton.
Yes.
Once it's done, we're done.
So now the audience doesn't quite know it yet, but Ben's character, as of now, is very much aware that this guy here is not Peyton.
Before the ignition
Obviously, he would know the real Peyton very well, because it's his superior officer in the training,
So he
throughout
knows,
prep.
and he knows through Leyland's character that somebody went crazy.
Exactly.
One of the officers went crazy.
So our lead character has figured out the story. He's still on a mission to get the reactor started, but he's also determined to go back to that person who basically destroyed the whole mission.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was supposed to go back to sleep and wake up the next team. He wasn't supposed to just stay awake.
So there's the survival of the humanity and there's justice on his mind.
Yes. He's very much a character who needs justice and fairness and
true.
morale.
He's like a kind of Jimmy Stewart
Yes.
throwback.
Just been sitting there, huh? That thing could melt down when he.
And when he, I mean, we there's also another side to the story, which we hint throughout the movie when he gets the handshakes, that he is in the first stages of Pandorum. And that heightens his awareness about what's going on in a strange way. I mean, he's slightly paranoid too. He's not full-blown affected yet, but you know, he's not good. He's not well. So for him to figure out that his whole world has basically gone wrong, that's really, I mean, you can see it in his face here. He's really determined to keep it together.
So this set we built actually in a, what was it, Christian?
It was an old reactor.
An old reactor, yeah.
Yeah.
In Berlin on
Yeah.
location.
But everything had been stripped out of the location. So obviously we built the reactor, we built all the wall pieces, but what the set gave us was a great height that we needed, that a real studio wouldn't have, you know. I mean, the height that he is hanging here is the true height that we played the scene in. So this shot down, that was a real shot just there.
Yeah, it was a dangerous location, this dangerous set. A lot of safety concerns. But
It's always scary because the first day everybody pays attention because you're really, you know, every step could be, you know, your last. But after a while you get used to working there, and then people, that's when it really gets dangerous. When
plus it was the end of the shoot, so
Yes.
people are a little more tired.
It was
Was
we
cold.
moved into the night. But it was great. It really added to the experience. Anyway, the couple of hundred extras down there who were playing the monsters den,
Who were naked or semi-naked.
they were semi-naked,
Getting-
and
they were getting on
it was
very
end
well.
of October.
But we had good heaters.
We had some heaters, yeah, but I wouldn't have done it.
No.
They were real troopers, but they got into the spirit of it. They almost became,
Yeah.
you know, like a small group of people that were looking out for each other. It was quite fun to look at.
And I know what she's capable of better than anyone. I know what she's capable
So now Gallo's side is the one that represents, you know, just cutting and running. He says, let's get on board of this pod and just buy another extra couple days before the reactor blows up in our face. And Peyton's side of the character is the one who doesn't want to leave the other guys behind. So that's what their fight is about. Nice little hint there with a
What's
with
with
a
all
mirror.
the nosebleeds, Christian? Where did that
That's
come from?
that's one of the physical manifestations of being sick, is the shakes and the
see.
nosebleeds.
Right.
You will notice that Dennis's nose starts bleeding before Gallo even shows up.
Mhm.
The instant Gallo shows up, we have shifted the symptoms over to Gallo's character, so his nose is bleeding, and he's the one who gets the symptoms. But once Gallo disappears, Dennis is back fully with symptoms and all.
So what Ben's character is doing now is he's putting on, that's actually human skin.
Yes. Well, in their society that I talked about earlier, that we basically invented this whole society, even though we couldn't linger on it in the movie for the reasons that it wouldn't be scary anymore. But obviously they would use everything from their victims, the skin, the bones, to create tools, you know, to create dresses.
Yeah.
So now we basically pay off what they've been dressed in, which is human skin. Even a little bit fresh in one instance, that's why it's still bloody.
It kind of looks like Lawrence of Arabia,
Yeah.
but in human skin.
Yes. So instead of shooting him into space like he wanted to, he just ran a simulation. And knowing the ending of the film, he would now look at an empty pod right now.
You're not well.
Which, in the side angles, I sometimes did. You know, I just kept the pod empty. It was like, Cam is not here yet, and I was like, we don't need him, he's not there anyway.
This is great. Cam, he will gut you, carve you up.
Well, he gives away his how violent he actually is.
Yes.
So
Nice bicep.
again, Travis and I
Good
felt in our nightly meetings where we stayed at your office while you were, I think, shooting Resident Evil 3 in Mexico.
Yes.
You gave us your office and we met and had these long writing sessions where we would both have a computer in front of us and one was working on one scene and one on the other.
Right.
So we both felt that just going and, putting on the reactor was too simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to have a heroic moment that tells us that Ben's character had grown from someone who's slightly easily to freak out into someone who just does what needs to be done, even that means putting on human skin and crawling through these creatures who could rip him apart.
I mean, he's
every
gone
second.
into the snake pit.
Yes. And actually, it was really...
It's a great scene, Christian.
It was really scary for Ben because he's a method actor, so he gets into the mindset. Now he's crawling through these people who are, like I said, not CG. They were really there, so he was kind of into it.
Kung trying to hold the bridge.
Yeah, which is really heavy. Thank God for his big
arms.
biceps. And now he's becoming a hero by
Distracting them.
distracting them and buying them time to get the reactor started. Payback on at least one of them. There it is. This was a nightmare to shoot. All these hunters climbing up the walls. Also, we deteriorated the inner workings of the ship the closer we got to their den.
Mm-hmm.
So even the corridors, as you can see, are ripped apart, disheveled, more and more weird looking. Not at all like a spaceship anymore.
I love that orange and yellow design that you guys came up with.
Here I had to cut a little bit for budget reasons. I actually wanted them to non-stop run towards Nadia, and she had to fight off one after the other and stab and get all bloody and gory. And, it was towards the end of the shoot. There was just no time in the world to do that anymore.
Well, you should have shot faster.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Apology
So I could just do the one.
This is great. The light comes on.
Yeah.
Did it.
The Boy Scout did it.
Boy Scout did it.
You were right. Now, let me out.
I always get a laugh out of it. How he says, "You're right. Now let me out here."
What are you doing?
This to me, this design of the pod, where Richard put all the LEDs in, it really comes to its full beauty here in cam shots. Looks really great. Specifically this shot here, It's so demented. So now we have power, but that also means that it's harder to hide. So, it's not like it's a brightly lit spaceship now, but it is lit. And you have to get a little bit more inventive about hiding places. And Kung meets the lead hunter.
Heflin.
The costume is there to represent, like it very often is in old cultures, his importance. But it also is kind of nasty in the sense that he could stab you with it.
So on the
costume designer came up with this great weapon, that he slides out.
Yes. It's like a claw.
That was Niels. Can't remember his last name right now, but he was the guy who, after Ivana Milas, our costume designer's drawings, invented all the particulars of the hunter
he built the costumes.
Yeah.
So those spikes on their back, Christian, are they bones or are they just pieces of metal from the
They're
ship?
both.
Right.
There's some bones there, but there's also metal pieces, scrap metal, human skin, cables, hair. I mean, you can see he's got like a whole row of I don't know what's this bone?
The
Chin bones.
Chin bone.
Yeah, jaw bones and chin bones on his costume.
Yep.
I always intended in the first couple of encounters also distract from the fact that these are humans.
Right.
So I used the outline, the shape outline of the first hunter I draw with the storyboard guy Jan Sasse, something that looked almost like a four-legged creatures that had weird backbones.
Yes.
And only later do we reveal that it's a costume.
Because you see the shadows
Yeah.
first.
Exactly.
Oh, he's biting out his liver. Or his kidney, whichever. Or probably both.
Yeah. This shows you the brilliance of Stan Winston, because they have all these very expensive tricks that they use. And then I wasn't happy with how little we saw of him ripping out some flesh. And they hadn't prepared that, so they just brought some bologna in. You know, some actual, from some sandwiches. They took the bologna off and put it in there, and he's ripping that out.
There's your daughter.
There's my daughter, yeah.
Don't do it, Kung. Don't.
I mean, I understand him. I couldn't kill her, so she's not so hesitant.
And then she feeds on him.
Yeah, we had it's probably gonna be in the unrated version.
I hope
Pretty
so.
nasty beat there of her eating him, which is actually the only thing she didn't expect. I don't know why, but it didn't come through to my daughter that she had to eat human. She was a little
Well,
bit
she was
shocked there.
eating bologna.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, now that she really was laughing a lot on the set and had a great time, but then she wanted to see her scene and she got scared and left the room. So she's never seen it.
So there we have the two.
Yeah. At first, we wanted the whole two characters to morph together, and it felt over the top, and we took it down and made it just the arm, because people get it. They're not stupid. And the whole morphing thing made it so
very
much about the effect instead of
Yeah,
the story point.
that's right. Poor old Eddie.
This is the funniest thing when he says,
It's just way too trusting.
yeah. When Dennis did this, he enjoyed it a lot because he never played a real bad guy in his career. This guy has made so many movies. The closest he came to being a real bad guy was the lawyer in Traffic, who was like a drug lawyer.
Well, he was a sleazy bad guy in that. Yeah.
Yes, but he was not the villain.
He wasn't the villain, no.
Yeah, here he is the villain who does nasty things, and I think he enjoyed that. So up close, I mean, think about the force the gun uses to push people away that are 20 feet away. Now he holds it directly to his head. Obviously, his head, who's
Explodes.
stuck, will not survive that.
And Ben's managed to wipe all that blood off
Yeah.
in this scene. Because he was pretty showered.
No, the blood is there
a
all the
little bit.
time. It only goes away when he's going through the water, and even then, some of it remains.
Just checking, Christian.
We have some continuity errors in the movie, but not so blatant.
I'm sure
ones.
we'll learn about them on the internet.
Yeah. See, he's still showery. Anyway, Dennis is actually sitting in the chair behind them all the time, and there's two shots where you could see him when you freeze frame. So I didn't cheat there. He's really there. You just miss him.
Memory lapse is finally worn off. Lieutenant, who the hell are you?
Love how he steps into the little light here.
That's,
I was younger than you when I first came.
it's a nice flashback.
Funny, I can't even remember what life was like before this flight began. It's all I have.
You would want to receive the final.
And now what you just said earlier, Ben has figured out the whole story. And obviously that surprises Gallo, because he doesn't know there's a story about him
Right.
etched in some tank.
How would you know that?
So now comes the big twist, and that is a twist that, again, was similar in both our concepts. My spaceship wasn't actually underwater. My spaceship, one fraction of the crew had one side with the windows, and the other, the evil fraction, had the other side with the windows. And when they finally conquer into the evil side, they see that they're going around Tanis all the time in orbit. So the twist that they were like already there was in both concepts, but I think Travis's was much better, that they're already on the planet underwater, because it was just such a nice image that they're not out in space, even if they're at the destination already, but already on a planet and underwater and have a whole new problem to deal with. So I went with his.
I love the lights on their faces here, Christian. That's a great effect.
Well, I see, what I use the lights for here symbolically is he comes into his world, into his lighting setup, and then he steps out again because he doesn't want to be pulled in. So now the stars being gone, the mission being completely a failure, nothing's out there. I mean, his whole world is crumbling, and him having Pandorum, obviously now he loses it. So he hears the hunters coming in, even if they're there or not, he is not sure. And maybe Dennis is like, he's really listening and thinking, is this guy right? Am I crazy? What's going on?
So Ben is fighting for his sanity at this point.
Exactly.
Perfect. I am offering you.
It's very trippy, this scene, Christian.
And all that's holding you back.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of drug experience, but that's, again, we talked in the beginning how I try to make the scenes from the perspective of the protagonist. So this is his skewed perspective that we're stepping into here.
And this was that Ben's idea to pull out his tongue?
That was actually Ben's idea, yes. I said it with him over the script, and he said he wants to do, something crazy that shows that he's truly lost it. And I came up with this line that he loved, that he wants to pull the sick out of him, because we needed to motivate him. And it was a little bit too gruesome, and again, I didn't want to take away from the story by all of a sudden becoming unnecessarily gory there. So we kept it somewhat ambiguous.
So they've been under the ocean. The ship has been in space for 923 years.
Yes, and 123 years of that was traveling, and then the ship, with no one awake, attempted an emergency landing and crashed
onto Tanis.
Onto Tanis in the sea.
So it's been like under the ocean for 800 years.
Yes.
And the creatures have evolved.
The creatures, Nadia explains that they've all been fed, for 123 years, they've all been fed with an enzyme that is supposed to help them adapt on the Tanis, because even though it's an Earth-like planet, it's not exactly like Earth. So they needed to boost their adaptation skills.
And they've adapted to the ship.
And now they're awake on the ship, breeding, forming generations. Obviously, they're now adapted to the wrong thing, which is dark corridors and hunting human beings. So that's how they're incredibly adept at this. So here you will notice that every time we cut to Nadia, the whole sound and world is different. And every time we cut to him, he hears the creatures and has weird angles and basically thinks that the hunters will make it through the walls, which is not technically possible. But he's lost it at this point.
I love the music here.
Yeah. Well, this
Pandorum motif.
This theme that the flute plays, this is an odd, haunted theme that Michel came up with, that is representing the insanity of Pandorum throughout the movie. It's basically established in the first reel when he looks at his shaking hand. So now that he's fired the shot, there's no hunter there. He realizes that he can't trust his senses, that he's sick. And by firing the shot and cracking the ship open, he will actually, ironically, have saved them all. But first he saves her. One could argue, there's a little exchange of glances, one could argue that his human side gets triggered again when he looks at her, and that's the two of them save each other. He's the one actively pulling her, but she pulled him out of his
Pandorum. That's how, I must say, that's how I've always interpreted it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have this exchange there. So we leave this character behind, struggling in the water, not having crushed him. Most people interpreted it that he's dead and drowning. But as you can see, he's very much alive, fighting to be drowned. So, to me, he's not dead.
Dennis Quaid is not dead.
Here, this is a nice moment because Ben wants to know if this creature was real, and she confirms it and says, fuck him, we need to get out of here. So he knows that he can trust his senses a little bit more again.
So he doesn't have Pandorum quite.
Yeah. Well, he is sick, but he's kind of snapped out of it for the moment. So now I like going quiet here and have a moment of almost drowning. This is the single red scene between them. The other red scene is the settlers' housing, which is also about them establishing trust.
Yes.
So we have the two. If you exaggerate it, you could say love moments, completely bathed in red, almost like in a.
Well, if
like-
I were Ben, I'd fall in love with her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's very, very hot. And so these pods, although they were designed to be ejected into space, they obviously have some propulsion in water.
Yes. Oh, it takes a while to get out there, especially since there's also water inside the pod, so the pod would be very heavy. So, this is something I really love, because for me the story was about finding a new planet, and they achieved that goal. And after such a claustrophobic film that takes
Painful.
place in the dark,
Painful, uncomfortable
And-
experience.
exactly, we have something that I also have never seen before in any movie to my memory, that they actually make it onto a new planet. To me, that's a completely fresh twist that hasn't been done before, and that also is a great kickoff point for, if we ever
If we're
are
ever lu-
fortunate enough to be able to make a sequel to this. We wouldn't just retreat the water and be in corridors again. We would be on a new planet with all the possibilities that you would have there. So
here
here's
you
the
have-
irony of him saving them all.
Because by breaching the hull,
He's triggering the emergency
computer sends all the pods up, which with the Eden flashback earlier meant death to everyone in the pods, but in this instance they will all survive, or 1,200 of them will survive.
system. Yes. All the ones that were still there.
Yeah, the rest have been eaten by the creatures.
So what we see now, that's all there is left of humanity, but it is still hopeful in the sense that at least there is something left. So it's bittersweet.
I think it's also kind of nicer than just the two of them, Christian, which
Yeah.
is that kind of Adam and Eve. It's a little bit of a cliche.
Yes. Also, what do their kids do? Sleep with each other? It's too incestuous.
Nice
So here we get a
waterfall.
small glimpse of the new world. Basically a little bit of a tease that there is a world that seems habitable, but we don't venture into it yet. And again, I Michel coming up with a cool music here instead of an over the top, how would I say, melodramatic music.
Yeah,
Really helps
it's
a
an
lot.
exciting cue.
So, we just witnessed the birth of a new Earth.
Directed by you. I like the title treatment you used.
Yeah. There's you guys, and Robert coming up next.
Christian always wanted to have an end credit sequence showing just the design of the ship, giving people a moment to remember the road trip they've just been on.
Yep. We had much more, but then we didn't have so many people to credit. So yeah, I picked the ones I liked the best.
I think it's nice actually, just I'm seeing a little bit more of it now in movies, that when you finish the film you go back and show clips or sets.
Yeah, and what Ben always says, that this is a throwback to the haunted house
Yeah,
thriller of the 70s,
yeah.
showing just these eerie, quiet sets.
But also,
Basically drives that point home.
there was a sense in which the ship was a person in the film. I mean,
Yep. Here's
was a
Eddie
character.
Set again. Our great DP, Vedigo von Schulzenhoff, who has such a long name that we needed 2 lines for him to
Yeah.
get all his long name in. Vedigo von Schulzenhoff.
and then your two editors, Philip and
Yvonne.
Yvonne, worked so hard.
That was fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me, Jeremy. It's the
My-
first
my
time I
pleasure,
didn't do this
Christian.
alone.
It was a pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed it.